ありがとうございました。
腹減った。大盛りにすりゃよかったな。
死ねサンレッド。ヘルメ
また会ったなサンレッド。新たな怪人を紹介しよう。
我が名はドルゴン。私の爪は間もなく貴様の血で赤く。
オラだ。ドルゴン君。
鼻血が。
If I were to ask, what was the most recent anime to become a medium-wide phenomenon, I wouldn't be surprised to hear One Punch Man as the likely candidate. Meanwhile, if you know me and happen to check out my favorite anime, you might find one anomaly that I doubt you've ever heard of, much less seen. A short anime from 2008 called Tentai Senshi Sunred, or Astro Fighter Sunred. Both shows are satires of the superhero genre, or more specifically in Sunred's case, the Sentai genre, so think Power Rangers. However, I would argue that only one actually takes the term satire seriously. I wonder which one that might be. Minor spoilers for Sunred and One Punch Man. You can call me Shapes, by the way. One probably needs no introduction. One Punch Man is the story of Saitama, or Caped Baldy, not even called One Punch Man, as he struggles with being so strong that you can hardly call what he gets into fights. We're shown right away how much this bothers him and how apathetic and bored he becomes. I love this idea because there's so many directions you can take it, and which the early episodes at least start to explore. The juxtaposition of taking on something so formidable yet exciting versus something so mundane and also annoying. The trivial priorities of living an everyday life mixed with the great responsibilities of a hero. There's just something about One Punch Man that rubs me the wrong way. And to pinpoint what's present in One Punch Man, it'll take finding what's absent in Sunred. This one definitely requires an introduction. Sunred is a hero hailing from good old Mizunouchi who protects the world from the evil organization Floorshine, led by the kind-hearted General Vamp. Wait, kind-hearted? Yeah, he's actually a sweet guy. He's besties with Sunred's girlfriend, actually. They run a cooking segment together in the second season. Sunred is not afraid to face any beast in combat. Mostly because he beats their ass mercilessly and they have to live with the embarrassment. Thankfully, all the monsters have part-time jobs, while Sunred doesn't even have a job. He just plays pachinko all the time. They aren't taking this very seriously, are they? That's the difference here. One Punch Man takes itself seriously. A satire that takes itself seriously isn't exactly satire. If you look it up on good old Google, satire is defined as the use of humor, irony, exaggeration, or ridicule to expose and criticize people's stupidity or vices. One Punch Man takes the exaggeration, humor, ridicule, and irony, but never uses it to expose and criticize any stupidity or vices. It mostly just justifies them. The threats in this show are made to be genuine. The heroes and citizens are in real danger, so they are serious about it. The fact that Saitama always saves the day so effortlessly is irrelevant. It doesn't make all this buildup and legitimate threat any less tangible. The character motivations and attitudes are serious as well, from Saitama's sidekick Genos to the officials and heroes in the Hero Association, and especially the villains themselves, even if they make a point not to elaborate on them. They still have legitimate motivations. For example, the joke of how Saitama got so strong is a good joke, but the very existence of something like a backstory is a serious element. You want us to take your hero seriously. Good on you that you skewer those who blabber on about backstories, but if anything, that squanders a whole opportunity for comedy. Sunred happens to do backstories as well, except they aren't so much origin stories as they are side comments the characters reference, and often were never shown. That would make the current situation funnier. We get to see these basically grunt villains in a sympathetic light, something that's unheard of and satirical for superhero media, including One Punch Man. No, I do not count that one brother pair in episode 1. Let's compare protagonists hardcore, since One Punch Man doesn't seem to be concerned with providing us with some lasting external conflict or antagonist. Which is a shame, since I find Vamp to be a stronger antagonist than Sunred is a protagonist, but so be it. Saitama at first appears to be the one above it all, the only one who doesn't take any of it seriously. He does it for fun, he has a laid-back attitude, he doesn't pay much attention to the Heroes Association or its members, and in most fights he doesn't even try unless it's necessary, of which it usually never is. However, there are plenty of instances where we see that all this really does mean something to him, and that at the end of the day, he does what he does seriously. The entire idea of him quitting his search for a real job to train this rigorously is enough dedication. His, spoiler, dream sequence reveals a lot about his ambitions to protect the world, and I don't see what would give him any reason to be joking here. And among other examples, what stuck out to me is how he talks to this guy right here. No spoilers, of course. That is the face of someone who is taking this seriously. Not in a determined way, but a sincere way. Here's a determined way. Of course, Sunred has the advantage here since, well, hardly any of you can prove me wrong since none of you have seen it. I can point out one moment when Sunred was serious about something. Turns out, it wasn't even about being a superhero. He feels like a shitbum, as he probably should feel, and goes out to try applying for a real job so he can earn his girlfriend's respect. I won't spoil how that goes, but otherwise he never gives Vamp the opportunity for a real old-fashioned monster fight. Sunred shows up with no uniform, has his hands in his pockets, smoking or drinking, waiting for the semantics to be over so he can bust these monsters' faces in so they can all move on with their day and he can go back home to watch more TV, much to the begrudgment of General Vamp. See, Vamp wants to be taken seriously, for his desire to take over the world to come true and defeat his nemesis, Sunred. One of the funniest scenes I liked in the first season is when Vamp had his own dream sequence about taking it seriously. But I want to save that example for a bit later. It's a combination of Sunred's brutish attitude and Vamp's own prevailing kindness that he will never see that wish to fruition. You can call One Punch Man crazy, over the top, ridiculous, but I don't think it could be described as silly. Maybe in some character designs and concepts, but not exactly in the events that take place. Being silly is a comedic edge that I find integral for a satire, especially one for superheroes. Why should it be silly? What's the value in that? The parody should be silly so that it exposes what's so inherently silly about the genre itself. This is a genre of costumed crime fighters in tights fighting big-eyed, long-winded monsters and saving the day. Sunred is silly right off the bat, but in ways you would never expect. Silly in ways that poke fun at such an easy target as superheroes. Super weapons with poor battery life, robots that are assembly required, traps that are painfully obvious and easily avoidable, really, really dumb monster picks, and costumes too ridiculous to wear in public. You could say that the seriousness is what makes it a parody, but really, compared to Sunred, One Punch Man plays it totally straight, and is left only as an action comedy, with good-looking visuals. Let's talk about those visuals for a sec, cause the two series couldn't be more different in their approaches, and it actually plays into this theme of being serious. So much effort was put into One Punch Man's presentation. The animation, the animation, the animation, the animation, all that is like a serious amount of effort. A serious amount of effort.
A serious amount of effort.
Oh, wait! Yes, even the production plays into how much more of a superhero homage One Punch Man is, rather than a parody. Have you ever checked out the webcomic this was from? Those visuals actually played into a story not to be taken seriously. I actually think the show would have benefited from taking these visuals instead of the revamped manga. It was that manga adaptation that made it so detailed and serious looking. So much attention to detail is taken in making that manga that it articulates the story to be on a high caliber level. Which is all well and good if you were meaning to take it so seriously. Meanwhile, Sunred is so lazy. And I love it. The primary two characters don't even have facial expressions, just static helmets that bob up and down when they talk. And oftentimes these are used in hilarious ways. Here, the audience is left to imagination what his reaction could possibly be. The animation itself is so limited, and it's like they didn't take much of any effort into it. Like they didn't take it at all seriously. They did at one point reimagine what it would be like if Sunred was taking itself as seriously as any other action comedy. Pretty accurate, I must say. You know what that was? Oh yeah, that dream sequence from Vamp I told you earlier. The art has a soft color palette and has a consistent style, characters, and backgrounds throughout. Kind of like a comic book, whereas I found One Punch Man's character designs inconsistent and backgrounds decidedly drab and serious looking. Even the narrative structure plays into Sunred's favor. The episodes are only half the length of a traditional TV episode, and it typically tells the story in vignettes, akin to most anime comedies like Nichijou or Sakamoto Desu Ga. One Punch Man is a consistent narrative, the later half of which especially centering around specific threats. Threats that you already know are no match for Saitama, and yet will spend 2 or more episodes dealing with the same bad guy. Huh!
Must be pretty serious.
Surely, this will come down to a matter of preference. People might not take well to Sunred's comedy, as it sometimes delves too specifically into Japanese culture, which would be a barrier for Western fans. One Punch fans are probably not in it for the comedy. If the plethora of Saitama vs. Goku videos are to be taken seriously, but as a satire of superhero tropes, I highly recommend The Road Not Taken in Tentai Senshi's Sunred. No, it wasn't licensed by anybody, because of course it wasn't. Go look for it, you should know the places. This video was basically one big Sunred recommendation, if you hadn't guessed already.